Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Produce Buzzers podcast. We are so happy you have joined us today, and I think you will be too after the show is over, because you will learn a lot about fresh fruits and vegetables, how to select and store them, how to prepare and cook them, and surprising facts about their history and origin. We hope it inspires you to eat more fresh fruits and vegetables, not only for your health, but also for your delight and pleasure as you explore their amazing world of taste and delicious flavors. Eating more of them will transform your life in so many positive ways. So settle back, relax, and get ready for another delicious adventure with the Produce Buzzers. Greetings and welcome to another delicious episode of the Produce Buzzers podcast. I'm Edwin Stepp, your host and executive editor of ProduceBuzz.com. I'm joined once again by Teresa Nolan, the president and founder of Produce Buzz, along with Rick Stepp and Cynthia Benedetto, both contributing editors to Produce Buzz. Now, today, we're excited to shine a spotlight on a company that's become a major force in the berry world. North Bay Produce, known for their year-round supply of top-quality fruit and a global network of passionate growers, North Bay has been pushing the envelope in flavor, size, and eating experience with these berries. North Bay Produce is a cooperative of more than 30 grower owners from North, Central, and South America, producing fresh fruits and vegetables year-round, from asparagus to apples, berries, and snow and sugar snap peas. Headquartered in Traverse City, the northwest corner of Michigan's Lower Peninsula, the international company markets and distributes the products worldwide. Today, one of the key people behind that innovation is joining us today. We're thrilled to welcome Chuck Yao, Business Development Manager at North Bay. Chuck has spent years working closely with the growers across the Americas, from Michigan to Mexico to Chile, helping bring incredible berries and apples and more to market. And he's here today to give us an inside look at what's happening across North Bay's berry programs, including their premium Reserve label offering that offers some of the most delicious varieties on the market today. We'll also ask about their blueberry program in Europe. That's interesting. What's coming down the pipeline for berry volume this season and how they manage to keep quality consistent across so many regions. And while we're at it, we'll touch on another one of North Bay's big strengths, their apples. They're the second largest apple shipper in Michigan. And since Michigan is always the second or third largest apple producing state in the U.S., Chuck has plenty to share about what sets their apples apart. So stay tuned to tease your taste buds with all the delicious fruit and news from North Bay. Welcome to the show, Chuck. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
That's great. Well, North Bay, we're going to get into those berries and apples. You've got some really interesting information about your new label with the premium berries that are just the best on the market. But before that, I want to know a little about Chuck. Tell us about your background. How did you wind up in the produce industry, and what's your background?
Yeah, so for years prior to produce, about 10 years, I was in the sugar business with a large sugar refiner and marketer of sugars in the U.S., predominantly the East Coast. Enjoyed that business very much. There was some movement toward the farm bill that the government was getting into, and it became very difficult for the company to make money as they were then. They basically were kind of limited in profits, et cetera, they can make. And I was kind of worried about a living with my kids going to college. And I had a nice offer from Chiquita, and that got me into the produce business. And that was over 25 years ago. And here we are today.
Yeah.
In the produce sector. So I was with Chiquita for 5 years. I was in sales and marketing with Sage Fruit Company for a little over 10 years. I also then went to run the director of U.S. sales and business development for a citrus importer. Then moved to Michigan and ran the sales and development, business development for Michigan Apple Company. Was very successful. We grew quite a bit. Wow. And then I had a 2-year stint in running a New England Apple Company And
Wow.
now here I am with North Bay, blessed to be with a really fast growing and well-run company.
Right. Well, tell us a bit about the history of North Bay then, since you bring that up, and how long have they been around,
Mhm.
and how did they get started?
So I don't know the exact number of how long they've been around. I'm sure it's well over 50 years, but they originally started out as a fruit company that kind of tied in with the Traverse City cherry deal, and that's a real popular tart cherry deal up there and
Yeah.
in Traverse City area, and they decided to plant some blueberries, and things took off, from what I understand, to them then trying to be full line domestic. And I think part of their fast growth was also tied to the fact that they are grower owned co-op.
Uh,
It is as close as you can get to dealing with if you're dealing with a retailer buying from us or wholesaler, to dealing direct with the grower.
Interesting.
We're grower owned,
Yeah.
very unique and great setup for North Bay. And at the end of the day, after all the bills are covered, if you will, the rest of the money goes back to the growers, whatever's left. So it's truly a great partnership,
Yeah.
and that's been a part of their big growth. So lo and behold, this little blueberry company expands and starts to grow into domestic, and then the customers want year-round supply, and they delve into the import deal. And now it's an incredible company that is pretty much worldwide. They have sales teams in Europe and even China.
Well,
And now, we're continuing to look around for new areas to grow berries that will bridge gaps, or maybe allow for other varieties of the blueberries that'll grow for times of the year where it's difficult to get fruit, or to supplement the fruit with more higher grades.
yeah. You
And
have to be in it year round these days, don't you, to compete because there's so many companies that are that if
right.
you go away for a few months, it's probably hard to break back in.
Well, I would say that's true, but definitely if you want to service the larger retailers in the US, that's an absolute. You have to be year round
Yeah.
and a reliable supply.
Right. It's interesting they started as a berry company. I didn't know that. I thought it was apples first. But how did they get into apples and when did that? I mean, it'd be a natural being in Michigan, of course, but not hard to do. But
Yeah, it was almost a byproduct at first, with the growers up there and the relationship, and they started marketing some apples to their more regional companies, and that's all ballooned as well. Also grower owned, and to where now North Bay is the second largest apple shipper in Michigan,
right.
and all the varieties and some great retail customers as well. So I would say this year, we may be just shy of 2 million boxes.
Hmm.
It's a nice little piece of
Yeah.
business for the company, and it's really grown exponentially. Ken Corson's our category manager there, does a great job,
Hmm.
and yeah, so it's been a slow growth on that one, but the last couple of years it's really taken off.
Yeah. And with CA storages, that's a year-round deal, I take it. Or do you source from other places other than Michigan or for
Well,
apples?
when we have to, we're
Yeah.
predominantly 100% Michigan.
Yeah.
We may, to finish out a program on some Gala or Reds that we've committed to on a price to be year round, we may source, but generally we try to extend the crop to be year round, at least on the most the volume varieties that we have that can make it all the way through Red Dells, Galas. But sometimes we do have to source at the end or just at the shoulders of the deal.
Yeah.
Most of the time we can make it.
Right. Well, we
Um,
get into the apples a little
yeah,
later. I really want, because I think you also wanted to feature the berries today. We're going to talk about the apples as well, but let's get into these berries because you were telling me at the big produce show in Anaheim, the International Fresh Produce Association show in October, about some of these varieties. You had some there. We were able to taste them. Blackberries has become one of the newest kind of blackberries, you couldn't find them in stores years ago. Now suddenly they're everywhere, and they're getting so good.
Mhm.
Lately, your reserve label line has taken that to a whole new level. Tell us a little bit about what inspired that to create that category, and what makes these berries special enough to deserve that name, reserve.
Yeah. So we're very selective in what we put in the reserve label. Predominantly, it is the Arandi variety. It's a
Rondi.
very large berry. It's got excellent size, taste. It limits the seeds. It's less seeds than you would normally, expect from a blackberry. It's a
Yeah,
deep, dark color, beautiful piece of fruit. But the most important part of the blackberry and the Arandi is the eating quality. It's
yeah.
not only large but very sweet. You normally you would have thought back in the day, I guess, if you will, the blackberry was a tart eat. There were the certain varieties like the Tupi that was very well known and very much in full distribution. Since then, there's been a lot of R&D and research and selective ways of growing different varieties, and they are just outstanding. It's a
Yeah.
very large, super sweet berry. There's actually specifications they have to meet both for the Brix content and the size of the fruit. And so it becomes just an excellent eating experience that we can market as a premium berry because it is.
Since we're only audio, how do you spell the name of that berry?
Erandy, Arandi
Oh, okay. Got it.
blackberry is the variety. Now we also
Yeah.
have an Arandira that's every bit as good and flavorful, just doesn't always grow as large as the Arandi. So
Yeah.
we will hopefully use predominantly those two varieties, even in our regular packaging
All
styles
right. Are
over the
these
years.
proprietary? Oh, go ahead, Tracy.
I
Go
was
Yeah,
ahead.
going
they
to
are.
ask this. I was
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
ask you the same thing.
No,
Are
what?
they
yeah.
proprietary?
Yeah, they're proprietary varieties that we have to sign with the ownership company of those varieties. And they have specifications we have to meet. They have growing standards, they have food safety. It's a whole docket of information that we have to follow in order to be selected and become that marketer for the Arandia. And
When,
this,
sorry.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was just wondering when were you speaking about the bricks. I'm always about the sugar, so I probably would have done well at that sugar company. What is the bricks level that you on a blackberry?
Yeah, I don't know it off the top of my head. I have it here. I'm sorry about that.
That's all right.
I have
I
some
mean, no one else
notes.
in the world probably cares except me because I'm poor. I go into a grocery store and I immediately become a consumer and I
We,
want
we've
sweet.
we've talked about bricks quite often on the show, but I always think we got consumers out there who probably don't know what that means. It's basically a percent. When you hear the number, it's basically a percentage, I think,
It's a
of the
soluble
amount
sugar,
of
isn't it?
sugar.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, but there is
That's right. And
something
there's
about the acidity balance too, which I've never quite understood about bricks. So I don't know if you understand.
well, there's a ratio between the acid and sugar in most
Right.
fruit, and it's just the different ratio between the acid and the sugar that's in the fruit. I don't have the actual in front of me. It's a it's a measure that none of us would understand anyway, but it's a normal and predominantly used meter, if you will, that they calibrate and measure the sugar contents, and it's
And the
it's
higher the number,
generally a normal standard.
yeah, the higher the number, the sweeter.
So what,
Correct.
like in oranges, I want like a 23 on
On
orange juice. Like
orange?
I really want like,
I don't
well,
think you're gonna get
Valencia, like
that.
orange juice. I want
Okay.
23. I want really sweet.
Well, we've asked, got into some very sweet fruits on this show, and I don't remember anything over like a 24 of any fruit we've ever talked about. But
Yeah, it's definitely not over
I think,
24. I think you also have to understand the more sugar that the shelf life of a piece of fruit
oh,
gets
that's
gets
right.
very limited. So
Yeah. And what about the shelf life for these? I've noticed that these new berries, the ones that I saw at your booth at the show,
Mhm.
they seem to be very firm, which I guess gives it also not just better texture for eating, but for shelf life. Is that true?
Yeah, it's definitely true. The Arondi is a very firm berry. And anytime you're dealing with more firm piece of fruit than a traditional like a 2B, generally your shelf life is going to be better. The caveat to all that was, and will forever be, the level of rain and the growing conditions right
Right.
before harvest will certainly affect all of that. So you can never say an absolute to that, especially on a blackberry.
Yeah.
Is it
But
like citrus that the cold snap makes? I don't in Florida for the when it gets cold, then that
mhm.
helps the sugar content. I don't know if that has to do with the starches or whatever, but is that the same in blackberries?
Not necessarily. I think the variety itself just tends to have that higher Brix based on the selective breeding. But the shelf life piece, though, is much more affected by, you just don't want rain
Right.
or the berries to get wet right before harvest because they are much more absorbent and they swell, they absorb water, and it just makes the process of packing much more difficult. You're culling out more fruit. Berries can be very difficult when Mother Nature doesn't cooperate for sure.
Right.
And your pack outs are far less, and your shelf life is definitely a little shorter based
Mhm.
on the last minute whatever Mother Nature deals us.
So let's talk about where they're grown and the
Yeah.
climate. Since we've kind of been on climate, that has a lot to do with how you grow. And you're year round, so you're growing in different regions. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So, and part of that expansion of blackberries to be year round, Mexico, Southeast USA, California, and other parts of the U.S. periodic, certainly Georgia, the Carolinas,
Hmm.
Arkansas. We move around where we can get product for the right time of the year, and then it starts all over again back in Mexico. So
Right.
um, quite
Do
a
you
bit. Not
grow these in South America at all? Is that just too far
um,
to bring them?
Mexico, I think
Mexico,
is
but yeah.
yeah is as far south for the general most of the bulk we
And
would
that
be looking.
covers you in the winter season when you can't grow them in North America. I take it they can grow them in the winter there.
Yes, yep,
Good. Okay.
yeah. Now year round does imply full volume year round. There
Oh,
are times when there's a little less volume available, a little more volume available, a lot, and even makes sometimes a tight market. So we're constantly looking for varieties to help bridge those small gaps or times where they're less prevalent. But overall, yes, year round.
yeah. Good. Good. Do you grow any other kinds of berries? I know we've already mentioned blueberries, and we'll get into that in a second. But
Yeah.
do you grow raspberries
We
or?
do. We grow
Okay.
raspberries, same growing regions. There are varieties under test and study and R&D. We don't have one in particular that we're proprietary with at this time that gives us the over and above everybody else's like some of these others. But we are upgrading and using the best varieties available for
Yeah.
sure, just to keep up with the demand and the best eating fruit we can bring to market.
Yeah.
Um, Basically the same growing regions and year round, I would say on raspberries for us, the California part is not our strongest. So I would say we are mostly a 10-month supply on raspberries.
Okay.
Still not bad.
Yeah.
What
Very good.
areas of North Carolina and South Carolina do you grow berries?
So mostly it's the flatter toward the coastline, but not on the coastline regions, as
Hmm.
far as Georgia and North Carolina, and same with Jersey. As you get up to the more flatter areas, low-lying areas that are closer to sea level is where the berries are grown.
Okay.
Yeah. And let's go back to the reserve label now.
Yeah.
If our listeners want to find your berries, do they look for reserve label? Is the North
Yes.
Bay logo on there as well? I guess it is. I don't know.
Yeah, so it will say North Bay in small print, but by and large, it'll say North Bay Produce just above the reserve. The reserve is the predominant, and then it'll say the berries, and again distributed by North Bay Produce, Traverse City, and then the country source always has to be on the packaging, of course.
Right, right. Good. Okay, so you can look for that.
Look
If
for
you
the
buy
reserve.
the,
Yep.
yeah,
Which
look for that.
we also sell in the blueberries, which we'll get into as
Okay.
well.
Yeah. Well, let's just go straight into that. You've got some blueberries that are really taking the market here. Tell us about that, your reserve. And I believe you said they're jumbo blueberries. Are they
That's
all
right.
jumbos or is that?
No, no, they're not all jumbos, but we have heavily invested in a Sequoia variety, which is also proprietary. The Sequoia variety, just to be clear, there's sub-varieties within the Sequoia that are Sequoia Pop or a Sequoia and then a number, et cetera. But so there's several different types of Sequoia varieties. And some of that is just because we need to time it with that part of the world or part of the region that we pull from that grows best in that area. But the Sequoia is a fantastic blueberry, super large, really crunchy, really sweet. I can definitely say that all things being equal, improves the shelf life. They're a very sturdy piece of fruit as berries go, very hardy. And we are heavily invested in the Sequoia because we believe in it. We believe it's the best eating experience that we can provide right now. We certainly sell the other varieties for the price point needed, et cetera, or year-round supply of regular berries. Not everybody wants to buy a jumbo, so we have full offerings. But the Sequoia is a significant upgrade, and we're very proud to be part of the Sequoia variety and that proprietary company.
Right. And that's under the reserve label as well, the
That's
jumbo
right.
ones, the Sequoias. Right.
Also, will be a
Take a look
jumbo.
at that.
It will have the reserve as a predominant label and then North Bay secondary on that
Yeah.
distribution.
What's the
place.
biggest those ever get? I've seen some pretty big blueberries in the past few years, looking around, and I actually saw one pack. I don't remember who the label was, so I won't go there, but I had pulled one out of there. It was as big as a quarter. It was,
Yep.
it's a quarter.
Yeah, I do have some of the specs on it from the firmness side of things. A
Okay.
65 on about, and I told you this would get technical. None of us will understand it.
That's okay. We can try to.
Baxlo durometer, which is BAXLO durometer unit. Firmness is over at least up to 65. The Brix and acidity is 11.1.
Wow.
BA meter. Beautiful appearance. Right now we still market as season availability, but we're so heavily invested. We hope to be year round completely with Sequoia by the end of 26, if not before.
Yeah.
We have both conventional and organic, which is interesting for such a large berry, to still meet those specs. And so we're really excited about the growth. It's really driven and thrown gas on the growth and development of our company. Actually, it's been so well received by both retailers and consumers.
Yeah. So you were mentioning the firmness, and one of the things I was surprised about with that big blueberry, I thought, oh, this is okay. It looks beautiful, but when I bite in, it's going to be mealy. But it wasn't. It was just as juicy as a small one.
Yeah, that's one of the great things about it. It actually, the eating quality is so good that it's actually got a crunch factor to it.
Oh, is that a measurement now?
Only with the firmness. back to that
Okay, right.
about back slow durometer.
Oh, that was what you were talking about.
Yeah,
That's
that does measure the firmness or pressure, if you will, in the fruit.
okay. Got it. So the crunch factor. I like
Yeah,
that. So,
it's
yeah, so
quite an
that's
amazing piece of
amazing.
fruit.
That's amazing because I know back, before these new varieties, if you got a big blueberry like that, it was going to be just mealy as all get out inside. But these new varieties are overcome that. So I imagine the blueberries, let's talk about the growing regions. It probably mirrors quite a bit the blackberry, I'm guessing.
Yes and no.
Okay.
Actually, it's grown quite a few areas more than the blackberries.
Okay.
Transportation wise, it's easier to
Okay.
deal with. We grow sequoia from in South Africa, Morocco, Portugal,
Wow.
Spain, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, New Jersey, Michigan, or Oregon, British Columbia, Mexico, Peru, and Chile.
Okay, Chuck, you should have listed the countries you don't grow in. That would have been faster.
My God.
Um,
So, and the blueberries and all the berries, are they still hand harvested or are they starting to? I went and harvested some blueberries and I will never complain about the price anymore because it was it was
yeah,
took a long time. But is that the same with blackberries too? Are they terribly labor intensive?
yeah. All berries are, even strawberries are intensive. You know, there's no hard answer. Is it hand harvested or machine harvested? I would say mostly by hand. We're always experimenting and trying new ways to harvest, but predominantly everything's hand harvested, to my knowledge. Now, I'm not a grower and I don't harvest, so I don't know the percentage of that, but I do know that it's a lot of work to get them to market.
Now, one place you didn't mention about your blueberries, I don't think, maybe in that long list, I just missed it, but you're growing blueberries in Europe now, right?
Well, we're growing, yeah, Spain and Portugal.
Oh, you did
Actually,
mention that. Yeah, I
if
did.
I'm not, if I missed Michigan, I should be
I
tarred and
don't think you
feathered
did.
because
The list was
because we're
so
headquartered
long.
there, and that's where it all started.
I do know that Spain and Portugal are in Europe, by the way, just to let you know. I
If
just,
I missed it,
no,
but
you didn't.
yes,
You did
that's
say it.
now, you know, those regions over there, Spain, Portugal, Morocco, South Africa, most of that is going to the European or Southeast Asian
Okay.
markets.
You don't bring them
Um,
here.
Tend not to, although I
Yeah.
learned something that I was surprised about, that a boat ride from Morocco to the East Coast of the United States is faster than a boat ride from Chile or Peru.
Well, that
Not
makes
by
sense.
much,
Not by
but
much,
yeah.
but makes sense. Yeah. Right.
So, but yeah, mostly when we're into the Southern Hemisphere for the US, you're seeing Peruvian and Chilean.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. Okay.
You raised a good point in terms of logistics because I understand like the kiwi that's coming in from Italy, it's less expensive to bring it to the East Coast as opposed to California to bring it back, 4-day truck ride.
Sure, sure. Logistics is such a huge part of all of our business, as you guys well know. Getting it to a grocery store in the most efficient manner is a very difficult task, from grower all the way to the retailer who displays
Yeah.
the food.
Right.
Yeah, there are best practices that have to be followed throughout the entire process, including that very last step of rotation, fruit on the shelf, and proper handling.
Yeah.
And
Not breaking the
it's a
That's
cold.
difficult
probably the
thing.
worst part of the trip.
Well, it's the part that it's out of our hands at that point. Once it
Right.
gets to the customer's wholesale or warehouse, the wholesaler retailer's warehouse, and then distributed to the store. From that point, we lose control over it. So we trust that they have best practices as well. And sometimes they do, and it's still things can go awry with consumers kind of throwing stuff around and also, excuse me. So you never know when you see something on the shelf and it's bruised up or whatever, you never know where that went wrong.
Yeah. We're not dealing with widgets here. And produce is one of those things. It's kind of it's odd thing because typically when produce is at its best, it's also at its cheapest because generally if there's a big supply and it's good, that quality, everybody's got it and the market kind of drops.
That's right.
But when it's bad, then you can't get it. Usually tends to be higher price.
Yeah, it's a higher price stuff, and there's not enough.
And they're throwing whatever they can in the boxes.
But let's talk about one of the things I teased in the opener was that how you keep this consistent quality year round from all these different regions, and with the supply chain challenges, how do you deal with that?
I am glad you brought it up. I've been involved with a lot of companies, and the operations of this company and how well it's run is really incredible. We track everything. We monitor the shipments. We know arrival times. We know what's on the vessel. We know the temperature of the fruit. It's really a massive undertaking, and both the distribution people and those that are in management that track it all are incredible. I've never seen a company so well run that deals with all the variables that are thrown at us for a very temperamental piece of fruit overall, berries.
Right. Well, congratulations on that, because I know.
Hey, I'm happy to be here. They make my job a lot easier. Nothing I did.
Right. Okay. We won't give you credit then. We'll just say
give credit.
But you do deserve a lot of credit because you're making sure they get to market and get sold and distributed. So if that doesn't happen, they're sitting on a dock somewhere.
Again, that's a big team that's doing that, not me. And I don't run that team. I'm just happy to be part of it.
Yeah.
There are several ways that they use to help control the fruit process and the process of it maintaining shelf life. Just like with apples, controlled atmosphere rooms, they actually bag the fruit and put it in storage. So I would imagine there is some forms or various forms that we use to hold the freshness of the fruit, because as you said, Ed, when it arrives in big quantities, and everybody's got it and everybody's trying to move it, and you're getting ads and retailers and lower prices, but you've got to hold that fruit until it goes. So we use any and all means that also meets, of course, USDA safety standards.
Right. Well, you mentioned controlled atmosphere, and we think of apples when we think of controlled atmosphere, and apples are much, much easier fruit to keep the quality and storage and all of that. But let's talk about North Bay's apples, because you guys are a huge shipper of apples in one of the largest producing states. Tell us about that side of the business.
Yeah, I'm very, very familiar with a lot of the apple world in Michigan, having run a sales piece of the business.
That's right. Yeah.
Lived in Grand Rapids for about 5 years as part of the Michigan Fresh Bell Harvest Alliance before being with North Bay. And I can tell you that apples are hardware compared to berries.
Yep.
I bet.
We like that. Yeah, controlled atmosphere rooms, of course, they CA the fruit. You can control atmosphere red dells for 14, 15 months. It's amazing how good the fruit can be when it comes out of those rooms. But essentially it's, they're hit with Stay Fresh or another type product, because there's competitors to that now, and which is USDA approved and again safe. They're put in essentially very large cold storage rooms that the oxygen can be taken completely out of. And all the ethylene, they have ethylene scrubbers, which basically suck the ethylene out of the air.
Because the apples are continuously producing ethylene.
That's right.
So you want to get that out.
That ethylene will continue to make them ripen faster.
Right.
And so these ethylene scrubbers literally pull the ethylene out of the air, and the apples at 33 degrees go to sleep. And some varieties last longer than others. We're better at storing some than others. We're learning more about storing Honeycrisp, for instance, which is a somewhat newer variety on the sales front. And
have those been more difficult to store?
Honeycrisp are more difficult across the board.
Oh, interesting.
One of the reasons you've seen, higher prices on that, there's more drop off the trees. They're more susceptible to bitter pit, which can come on. I mean, you can literally, it's better now that we know more about the variety, but you could literally pack a full truckload of tray pack Honeycrisp apples the night before, stage it in totally perfect temperature conditions, and the next day come in to load that truck and it's full of bitter pit.
Wow.
And
what is that? What is bitter pit?
Bitter pit is essentially it's a skin pore issue, and it kind of makes the fruit look like, if you will, almost it has acne or something. It's little brown spots, and they get worse as time goes on once it starts. So
does it make it inedible, or is it just
no, but it does. It does get the inside of under the skin soft, and it's not good appearance. There's no point. So, but it is basically a scoreable defect, and you have to repack the fruit. You can't risk rejection on Honeycrisp, but it's a difficult variety across the board to deal with. It's more temperamental. A lot of places will stem cut when they harvest. You have to stem cut each individual apple, because in the stem of that, it's a very firm stem. As they tumble on the line as you're going through the cleaning and packing process, that stem hits another apple, puts a hole in it. That hole becomes bigger and bigger as far as the browning around it and softness, and becomes a problem. So they actually have to harvest some apple varieties, Honeycrisp included, a little bit differently and more carefully than others.
Well, that's really interesting. I'd never heard that. We've talked about apples a lot here, and we grew up in the apple business well before Honeycrisp came along. Yeah. We only had like 4 or 5.
Literally stem cut the fruit right off the tree instead of pick it.
Yeah, interesting. And that's done by hand, I guess. It can't be done.
Yeah.
Yep. Right.
And those guys get really good at it.
Yeah, that's good.
It does slow down the process.
Okay, so you grow Honeycrisps. What other varieties do you grow?
Pretty full line. We grow Gala, a lot of Gala, Fuji, Red Delicious, Gold Delicious, Ambrosia.
Those are still being grown. I didn't think
and this is like
Golden Delicious.
Edwin will cut this out. But the Red Delicious, like, why? Like, it's just a waste of manpower. That's economics, everything. They
not
just
a Michigan Red
ruined
Delicious,
it.
Michigan Red.
So what we don't are not able to dictate is what the consumer or the customer wants. And there's still a market in schools. Sometimes the contracts are mandated for Red Delicious. Prisons, food service accounts, restaurants, hotels. If they mandate a Red Delicious in the contract, you can't bid on it if you don't have Red Delicious. But interestingly enough, there's been quite a transformation out of Washington to graft a lot of those trees out. And to your point, there are a lot of trees that have been, or orchards that have been moved over to harvest other varieties by grafting, or just take the trees out and start over.
I think we just bred the flavor right out of it.
But that makes the Red Delicious a little more endearing to Michigan, because as they take them out, the demand's still there. They come to us sometimes. So there's still plenty of them out there, but they're definitely down on production, having been taken over. Orchard taken over with Honeycrisp or Cosmic Crisp or some of the other things they do out there. And so there's still, for us, still a good market. And it seems it's a little better market every year as Washington keeps taking them out and trying new things out there. So,
well, I interrupted you on your variety list, so let's get back to this. I stopped you after red and golden.
Gold Delicious, Fuji, the Gala, the Honeycrisp, Ambrosia, Evercrisp. Those are the predominant ones. We have some other smaller moving less known varieties as well, Jana Golds, etc. But those are the predominant volume apples that we do. The thing that we probably picked up that I didn't say in there is Granny Smith.
Yeah. Oh shit! Yeah. Oh, whoopsie.
So we don't grow a lot of Granny Smith out there. There is some. It's been a more of a blemish with they don't want any discolorization of red blush in there. They're tough on the amount of russet, and the climate in Michigan where you don't control the rain in Michigan. It doesn't rain so much in Washington for most of the apple season. It's all irrigated through the snow cap and the mountains and the rivers there.
Right.
Supply the water, whereas Michigan relies on rain.
And that's what causes the russet. Am I correct?
Just harsh weather, yeah.
Yeah, right.
And so
I didn't realize that Granny Smiths could get a blush on them, and that comes from getting cold, right? That's the cold nights generally that bring that.
Well, I think a combination of warm days, cold nights, the right mix of that is more out west. But Pennsylvania's been growing them lately, a different variety. So who knows? We may get into them again. And organics, we don't do a lot of organics in Michigan. Again, with the harsher weather, that becomes a little more difficult. So those two are probably, if we have a hole in our game, it's those two, organic and Granny Smith.
It seems like there's a new apple coming out every week.
But that used to be the only apple I would bake a pie with, is the Granny Smith, and so sad that it escaped me when you were rattling them off, because I've just transitioned into the newer varieties.
Mm-hmm. They're good too. And we do grow, I didn't mention McIntosh. We do grow some McIntosh up there. That's actually a very good apple for the pie because it's got some tart to it.
Right. That's an old.
Cynthia, your best apple would be a Golden Delicious for pies.
I don't mind that. I like the Golden Delicious for like apple sauce, but I do.
Cynthia has a huge sweet tooth. I think that's what Rick is getting at. We
it's
tease her
sweet,
about her.
but it's true. It's absolutely true. The sweeter it is,
I've actually seen more recently some things online, and I'm seeing more and more that they recommend a blend of different apples, a little bit of Granny, a little bit of Gold, maybe a little Honeycrisp in there to give it
that sounds good,
both the sweetness and tartness that you're looking for.
Yeah. We used to make a lot of apple cider when my dad was growing apples and packing apples, and my older brother, who's passed now, he's not with us, but he was our cider maker, and he would
Leon Step Jr.
Yeah, he would blend varieties to get the best flavor. If you just make it from one variety, it would be pretty dull, the flavor.
So, and what did they use for the moonshine?
We don't
the fresh cider recipe he got from one of his professors at North Carolina State University.
Really?
And he was from Pennsylvania or New York. And they would do a fundraiser for the horticulture department with fresh apple cider every year. And he had a blend of Stamen Winesap, Rome apples, Golden Delicious, and Red Delicious.
Yeah.
Interesting. The Stamen is pretty much just grown in a very small part of Mid-Atlantic area, from what I understand.
Yeah, we used to grow a few here. My dad, when he was growing and packing, it was basically 5 varieties. I think it was Red Delicious, Golden Delicious, Rome Beauties, we called them, the Stamen, and what was I know there was another one, but those were the main varieties, and we didn't have any idea all these new varieties would be coming along at that time. But
Red Goldens and Romes were the big ones. The Winesap was not as much volume. But,
right. But we do. I remember stamping the boxes, Stamen Winesap.
Right. So Michigan's very proud of the apple industry and how it's progressed. The orchards are much more high tech now. You've got the high density orchards with the smaller trees that produce a lot. Nothing like your father's farm. These are very efficient.
Trellised, right? Trellis.
Yes.
Are they going along on trellis?
And it more than doubles the acreage output for the fruit. So that's part of the reason of the massive growth in the apple world as everybody's gone to these new higher density
Right.
orchards. And so there's a lot more production per acre. That's the good news. I guess the bad news is it's kind of a recession market now in apples because there's more fruit than consumption, pretty much. So,
Yeah.
so that's part of the industry and what it's struggling. And then with all the new varieties we've come out with between the East Coast and West Coast and Michigan, you've got the consumer completely confused as to what variety they want to buy and what's on sale. And is it better than honeys because they know honeys? And why do I want to pay more for an apple I've never eaten? And we've definitely made it a little more difficult for the consumers. Apologies, but we have.
Well, that's good for our listeners to hear. I think it helps them understand a little bit more about, why prices fluctuate a bit and what they can get. And it's always a kind of a gamble when you buy any kind of fruit. But with apples, sometimes from the same box, you could get different,
Yeah,
different experience. But
we're getting better and better at storing them, but there's no perfect world. And again, you get back to the basics of retail, and when they get to the shelf, were they rotated and was it dropped? And there's a lot of things that go into the apple that you buy at the last minute. And
So the brain trust at retail is hurting, but I think that I think that Honeycrisp, for me anyway, now will go into the same mindset as blueberries, and I will, because you were just saying that they were just so delicate and a bump and a stem, and so so that makes them not more expensive. That makes them more valuable.
They are more temperamental for sure, and you have more loss, and so there is more expense to bring them to market than, say, a Red Delicious or a Cosmic Crisp or something.
Right.
Well, I have 6 pounds of Michigan Galas in my refrigerator right now.
Nice.
My grandson, one of my grandsons, loves apples, and we buy the smaller size from a local store here at a very good price.
Good.
And I can give him one of those little Michigan Galas, and he's just as happy as he can be.
Yeah, they eat good.
Yeah.
The color and the new technology with these high density orchards, the apples are exposed to the sun more. Years back, Michigan and New York were known for apples with less color and more issues and things like that, because of storms and weather and the tossing of the fruit that you don't get out of Washington. But a lot of that's been fixed now with these new orchards and high density. It's a great looking and eating piece of fruit. We like to say the eating quality is better. I'm sure Washington would want to debate that all day.
Well, the different growing regions can produce different
flavors for sure.
Yeah, that's why I was telling Cynthia earlier that a Michigan Red Delicious is excellent. I've had a fruit fundraising program for over 35 years, and I've used a lot of the Michigan Red Delicious in my program, and people are way more satisfied with those than the Washington varieties.
Well, it just depends on the variety of red you get. There's stripe varieties and all that might have more flavor. They keep grafting more color into them, and they take flavor out when they do it. You worry about them doing that to Galas because Galas are getting so high color now, but it's such a popular variety. I don't think it's going away anytime soon. But it's a fine line.
Yeah. I met the man who found the ambrosia variety.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to remember where that might have been in the big Berlin produce conference. Have you been to that? You go to that?
I have not been to that one.
Yeah, I was there a few years ago, and the ambrosia had a booth. As these varieties do, they set up booths, and the farmer who actually found it was there, and I talked to him for a while, and he's British Columbia is where that was found.
I was going to ask that. I was going to
Yeah.
ask where was the country of
Yeah,
origin.
and he was just walking through the orchard one day, and he looked up in this tree. And that's a different apple, and I can't remember what it was coming off of. What the tree was, but he
Yeah.
they found it, they grafted it, it became. And so you guys grow those as well. That's what you mentioned, right?
Yeah. We definitely grow ambrosia,
Yeah.
quite a few of them. And Michigan in general grows quite a few of them. It's a good desired apple.
Yeah,
It's amazing some of the stories for these new varieties.
yeah,
But a lot of them are like that. The guy walked out and just through natural grafting process and pollination processes, this tree grows in the middle of nowhere, and it's an apple this guy's never seen or heard of before.
right.
And sometimes they'll check the genetics of it, and they can tell, oh, that's a Fuji, a Honeycrisp, and a red or whatever. And sometimes they don't want to know. They just name it, and off they go to market.
Yeah,
But it's funny how a lot of those have started up.
right.
A lot of more of them have been much more scientific, of course.
Yeah, I think the Honeycrisp was definitely that way.
Yeah, University of Minnesota developed it
Right.
originally for cold growing areas to compete with Washington.
Minnesota's where Rick lives now too, so he knows a lot
I'm in
about
Duluth.
The heartland of where the Honeycrisp started.
What is Michigan's number one commodity? Would it be apples?
It would be apples if you go by weight. Probably apples because they're year round. You got to remember we're year round in berries, but the growing regions can be 8, 10, 12 weeks, and then it's over. So I would definitely think that apples is the number one. But in a season, like when we have asparagus, they can generate on a dollar sale more money than apples for sure.
They grow more cherries than anybody, I think, but it's the tart cherries.
Tart cherries, yeah. The Northwest by far grows more dark sweets and Rainiers than anybody else.
But I thought in total volume of cherries, I saw that Michigan, because they grew more cherries volume, even though they're not in the dark ones. But I may have missed.
Somebody Google that. I would tend to guess that's not the case. Okay. But then you look at all the pies. Those tart cherries make great pies, etc.
Yeah.
So all the cherry pies in the world that they freeze them. I could be wrong on that. But certainly on the fresh market, the dark sweet on the fresh market is more.
Is North Bay in the cherry business at all? They used to be. Are they still?
Not really. We do a small program and import cherry deal. We don't have a domestic piece. And that cherry cooperative is kind of a separate company and business, even though we share some resources administratively with them.
The record for the cherry seed spitting contest was made in Michigan.
Good Lord!
You're one up.
That's where they do the pumpkin chunk.
Yeah, they have a cherry seed spitting contest every year up there. I think it's right there in Traverse City.
And how do you spin a cherry seed?
Well,
that's so gross.
First of all, you eat the meat away, I guess, and you've got the pit left, and then and the record was 96 feet.
Wow,
that's disgusting. That is just
that's the length of a basketball court.
And you have to do the tongue roll to achieve that.
Yeah,
I
can imagine a technique is very important in that. Yeah.
So Michigan holds the cherry spitting record. Now we got off the track here. We got to get back.
So to finish up on the apple deal, we try to be year round with most varieties. We aren't quite there, and depending on the customer, if they want us to finish out the year and start fresh, we will source from other growing regions. But quite a bit of Michigan apples go east too. If you imagine that New York and Michigan are about the same in volume production, throw in Pennsylvania, Virginia, New England, it's more, but not tremendously amount more. They're not as big apple growing regions. And with the population being stronger in the East Coast, they tend to source a lot of apples from Michigan, and that helps them be more year-round to their customers as well.
Right, great. Okay, well, this has been a lot of fun. What's the next year looking like for North Bay? You got anything? You probably can't talk about it if it's
Well,
too.
I can say that, we're trying to be much more year-round availability in the higher end varieties, and for instance, not be in the 2P variety
Yeah.
for blackberries, et cetera. And much more, I think we are year-round in the jumbos now,
Oh, good.
which is so impressive, and the Sequoia Reserve label. So we're real proud of that. That took a lot of effort, investment, and hard work to get there. We're continuing on the R&D front for the next thing down the line: raspberries, blackberries,
Yeah.
blueberries. But we want to, part of our go-to-market is to offer the best fruit available that's out there.
Right.
We're very proud about that.
Well, from
And
what
then,
I've seen, and oh, sorry, keep going.
no, and then all the things that go behind it, then be able to grow it in the right region, get it to market with our amazing operations department and food safety, keeping track of all that. And so it's quite an ordeal every time you start with something new.
Yeah. Great. Well, thanks a lot, Chuck. This has been fun, but we're going to let you go back to work. But
Okay.
there's something I didn't tell you that we make our guests go through on the show.
Uh-oh.
Didn't tell you beforehand because I figured if I told him, he's definitely not coming on. And I hate to tell you, Chuck, but what we make our guests go through is very painful.
Okay.
So here's the deal. Teresa loves puns, and she brings a pun to the show every time we record to punish our guests, and they're always bad. It's really bad. That's why it's
Sadly, they are very bad.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we call this segment. Oh, first of all, let me give you a little bit more. Usually these puns are in the form of a question, and we try to guess what the punny answer is
Okay.
to it. So we all kind of play along. Teresa, of course, knows it already. The rest of us, we don't know what's coming. So we try to guess it, and you can play along if you want.
Okay, great.
That's it. We call this
It was just
segment.
me. I was going to have a phone call, and I
Phone a friend. Phone a friend.
I have my phone right here. You can call me.
We call this segment. Are you ready for it? We call this
Yeah.
segment Homegrown.
Oh.
It's already bad. See where I'm going? See where we're going?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
His polite smile.
Yeah, he's so wishing he'd said, no, sorry, can't do it. Anyway, okay. Are you ready, Chuck?
I hope so.
Teresa, what is our homegrown today?
Well, at the corner of a couple of the orchard, bordering the blueberry and blackberry fields, the berries were talking about what they wanted to do, sort of to plan for their end of life. And the apple was overhearing it. And he was thinking too. And so the blackberries and the blueberries said, well, the blackberry said, as I begin to droop, I think I would like to be buried. And the blueberry said, yeah, buried. Berries should be buried. And then they have the chance to bring forth more life. And the apple is standing there thinking, the options are, you could be cremated or you could be buried. And the apple called out, yeah, I think I want to be buried too, because why?
All right. So the blackberry, the blueberry, we're talking about how they want to be. They were buried. The apple decided he didn't want to be cremated. He wanted to be buried. I don't know. Why did he decide?
Yeah, he was at the crossroads of his life.
Oh, that was at the crossroads. Rick is usually really good at getting these. If not, he gets something just as bad, or it's good.
Goes back to his roots.
Oh, nice.
That's pretty good.
Well done.
That's good. That was too good. See, we actually laughed a bit at that one. We only groan at the real answers. Let's see. Apples, cremated. No, I don't know.
He wants to
Rick?
be buried, but why does he want to be buried? Correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. I'm stumped. I'm
Stevie
stumped. He
Dillon.
was stumped. No. That's a different.
There you go.
All right. Do we give up?
Okay.
Chuck had a good one. I think it's probably better
Yeah,
than
I'm tapped out.
Probably better than the real answer, but yeah, he decided he wanted to be buried. He didn't want to be like apple crisp.
Oh, Teresa. Oh, boo. That was bad.
I thought it must have something to do with that cremation.
There you go.
Couldn't come up with it.
Okay.
All right. Well, Chuck, I'm
stuff.
sorry. I'm sorry we put you
Yeah.
through that.
Well, I hope I gave your listeners a little information on our reserve label and our Apple deal.
Chuck, real
Well-
pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time to do it.
Thanks
And
so much
it
for
was
having
very
us.
interesting.
All of us at North Bay appreciate it. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Nice seeing you.
Be well.
Bye-bye.
Well, thank you, listeners, for tuning in to the Produce Buzzers podcast, brought to you by Produce Buzz, the gathering place for lovers of fresh fruits and veggies. We hope you were entertained a bit and educated a lot about fresh produce. Be sure to join us next time, and please tell your friends to do so as well. Like, share, and comment on our Produce Buzz Facebook page, and check out our website at www.producebuzz.com. There you will find articles about fresh fruits and veggies, how to select, store, and prepare them, as well as lots of interesting facts about all the wonderful bounty the earth provides for us. Until next time, be fruitful and don't forget to veg out.